Tonight, a neighborhood has questions.
Why is a kid out at 6:40 in the morning?
As a little boy, just 4 to 5 years old, was found lying dead in the street, murdered in a manner police called violent.
An arrest warrant affidavit says home surveillance video shows a person police believe is Brown lifting Cash from his crib as he slept and carrying him away. Cash was found a half-mile from a home he was living at, lying in a pool of blood with multiple wounds investigators say were caused by an edged weapon.
The streets of Dallas are quiet at this hour, the stillness only disturbed by the occasional flicker of a streetlight or the hum of a distant car. And inside a modest home, 2 little boys sleep soundly, 4-year-old twins, inseparable from the moment they were born, Cash Gernon and his brother, Carter. But what led up to this? Why were the boys here? The story begins in early 2021 when their father Trevor made a decision he'd come to regret. Struggling to find work after moving to Dallas, he turned to an old acquaintance, Monica Sherrod, for help. She had kids of her own and offered to care for the boys while he got back on his feet. The boys moved in with Monica under her care full-time, while Trevor worked various jobs in the area. And for a while, it seemed to work, though the boys began to see less and less of their father. Still, they knew he wasn't far away. Until one day, when Trevor packed up and left for good, abruptly returning to Houston for work, leaving his boys behind. After facing public backlash as to why he didn't bring his sons, in a statement released by Trevor, he claimed it was to avoid disrupting the routine they had grown accustomed to in Monica's home.
I knew Monica for a good few years before moving to the Dallas area. She was a single parent like me, so naturally I would ask her advice on local things. At the end of February, beginning of March, Monica offered her home and help, which I was thankful for. Being a single dad with twin 4-year-olds can be overwhelming from time to time. When I decided to move back to Houston after an unsuccessful job hunt, amongst other things, I felt it was in the boys' best interest to not disrupt their routine. They were comfortable, they were around other kids, and from what it appeared, Monica was a trustworthy person. This choice I made with best of intentions has resulted in the most horrific outcome.
It was just after 5 a.m. when a mysterious figure appeared from the shadows, creeping toward the house where Cash and Carter lay sleeping. The garage door had been broken for some time, allowing the intruder to slip in effortlessly by simply lifting the door up. but the connecting door inside also damaged and unlocked.
The door is broke right here, as you can see. It doesn't have a latch on it, so we use a chain now to lock it up. And that's where he came in. He lifted the door up, and right here, as you can see, it's been kicked in or tampered with, if you would call it.
After making an effortless entry, the stranger moved through the kitchen, his steps slow and deliberate, before finally reaching the bedroom.
This is where they were sleeping that night. He slept in the bed. He just came in, just stood over him.
He paused, looming over the children, silent as they slept. Then, after a bit of hesitation, he leaned down and lifted Cash from the bed. The boy didn't stir, didn't cry out. He remained still, likely in tired confusion as he disappeared out of frame. 4-year-old Cash, never to be seen alive again. As the morning light seeps into the house, surveillance footage captures the same figure returning, this time standing over Carter. He doesn't take him. Instead, he hesitates, lingers, almost as if he's debating whether to take the second child too. He mutters to himself, reaches out, gently touches Carter's back. Then suddenly, he's gone. By the time Carter wakes up, his brother is nowhere to be found. He looks around the room, rubbing the sleep from his eyes and stretching before wandering off, likely in search of his brother. But just 8 blocks away, a woman on her morning walk makes a gruesome discovery. A small figure, barefoot and bloodied, lies motionless in the street. Cash, only 4 years old, was dead, brutally attacked with some sort of edged object, likely a pocket knife recovered from the suspect's home, which riddled his tiny body with stab wounds before he was discarded in the street like trash. The brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the community. How could something so horrific happen in a quiet neighborhood? Who could do something like this? But it wasn't long before police identified their suspect.
Unfortunately, a small child was lost today here in our city through a violent act, and we will pursue justice to find whoever did this. We're very angry about what has happened to this small child. We have information, but right now the circumstances are unusual, so I can't really comment, but we do believe we've got a link here.
This just into the newsroom. An arrest has been made in the death of a little boy in South Dallas. The little boy was found dead in the middle of a street this morning, and now police, along with the FBI, are investigating this as a murder.
18-year-old Darren Brown is charged with capital murder.
Dallas police say 18-year-old Darren Brown is the prime suspect.
18-year-old Darren Brown is charged with kidnapping a 4-year-old.
Darren Brown was originally charged with burglary and kidnapping.
Darren Brown is charged with injury to a child, elderly individual, or disabled person.
Up until that night, Darian Brown had been little more than a familiar face in the area. But as investigators peeled back the layers of his past, a disturbing picture began to emerge. He had a history of erratic behavior, violent outbursts, break-ins, and an escalating pattern of crime. Only months before Cash's murder, a 2-year-old girl had nearly been abducted from her grandparents' home. According to police, Brown entered the home, rummaging through rooms and closets until the homeowner, armed with a kitchen knife, forced him out. Brown soon returned, kicking through an interior door, and re-entered the house. After another altercation, he allegedly picked up the man's 2-year-old granddaughter and began to carry her toward the laundry room despite the grandfather's demands to release her. He then physically ripped the girl from Brown's arms. Brown then punched him in the face before fleeing. The man decided not to press charges as he was allegedly asked by a neighbor not to, being told Brown was suffering from a mental episode. Some reports state that the neighbor was Monica Sherrod, who claimed that Brown sometimes stayed at her home, though this is merely speculation at this point, but very unsettling if true, adding many new questions to this already bizarre case.
Oh, he was happy. He was a happy baby. He, eager to learn. He was very eager to learn. He wanted to know how to read so bad. Oh man.
Was he a happy child?
He was a very happy child. Very, very, very happy. And he was, like I said, eager to learn. Cash, was more outspoken than Carter. Cash was the leader. He was the one that showed Carter how to do everything. Carter's the smart boy. Cash was the one that was brave enough to follow through with everything.
And you went to shrine to him for the first time yesterday?
Yes.
And you laid down his favorite toy?
His dinosaur. He loved the dinosaur. It was given to him by my son Landon. And he will be missed here very much. Very much so. Cash was like my own son.
Can you tell me a little bit about the day when it happened?
Yeah. I woke up a little late because, like I said, Cash didn't wake me up. Cash is normally the one that wakes me up. In the morning, we get up about 7. We eat the breakfast and then we get ready for school. That's what they called it. And we'd sit at the table and do our ABCs and our shapes and our colors, and then I'd let them go play, and then we'd do lunch and then naps. The day that he was missing, I got up late and I thought it was weird. It was kind of like, it's 10 o'clock, you guys, already. You waited late to wake Mommy up, so I figured Cash was still in bed. My son is who walked in the room and said, "Where's Cash at, Carter?" Because they're never separate. They don't separate. And Carter goes, "He went outside. He went out front." So we believed Carter, you know what I'm saying? And so my boys started looking for him, and I started screaming, "Cash, if you're hiding from Mommy, it's not funny anymore. Come out. It's time for breakfast." He wouldn't answer, so I called 911.
Did you look for him around the house?
Yes, they went all the way around the block. My boys did. They went all the way up this alleyway. They walked all the way down to the little corner, you know, yelling for Cash. And he wasn't answering, and I knew something was wrong. Something in my mind I knew. So I called 911 and told them I couldn't find Cash. And they said, "When did I notice he was gone?" I said, "Immediately when I got up, when Carter woke me up." We noticed Cash was gone, and I didn't even think about their surveillance system.
When did you look at the surveillance system?
When we were at the detective's office, my son, I was crying and I was confused and like in a million pieces and praying to God they would still find Cash, and that little boy wasn't Cash. I kept telling my daughter, that's not Cash. And she said, Mommy, it has to be. Nobody else is missing a baby.
When there was a report of a body that had been found?
And I said, no, it's not Cash. And when my son had went into his interview, Matthew was the last to be interviewed, he remembered all of a sudden, Mom has cameras. And I when you're going through something like that, you don't think about all of that. All you think about is your baby that's missing. And when they said, Mom has cameras, I rewinded the cameras, and there he was, the boy taking my son out of his bed.
How did you feel when you saw that?
I freaked out. I'm sure my kids heard me. I was devastated. I started screaming because my daughter kept telling me, Mom, somebody did this. Mom, somebody did this to our baby. And I'm like, no, they didn't. He's going to be found. They're going to find him. And they did do it. They took him. Why would they hurt him? He was 4. He was like this big, like he was so little. He wasn't even the size of a 4-year-old. I can't do this anymore, I'm sorry. I can't.
Can you just tell me where you saw the
While I would overall like to avoid speculating about the case, as it is ongoing, and would like to remain as objective as possible regarding the people involved, I do believe it is important to acknowledge Monica's apparent mental state during the interview. Her dilated pupils and difficulty forming coherent thoughts suggest she's under the influence of something. Additionally, her responses to certain questions appear strange and evasive, as if certain pieces of information are missing. Considering the questionable state of the house, it raises questions about whether she was the most suitable person to raise these young boys, and, more importantly, to protect them. Monica's son Cameron admitted to knowing the suspect, having attended school with him, but insisted that the attack was entirely random. This, coupled with conflicting reports suggesting either the suspect was staying at Monica's home for a period before the kidnapping or was present days prior, raises numerous questions about this case. After Brown's arrest, despite overwhelming evidence for the murder of Cash, including the child's blood on his clothing and shoes, along with the surveillance video, the case hit an unexpected snag. When Brown was psychologically evaluated, he was ultimately deemed mentally incompetent to stand trial. His defense claiming he suffered from hallucinations and couldn't comprehend the gravity of his actions.
Someday we can, get to the facts of this case, which we believe are going to show that he does have a mental defect that potentially may have led to this tragedy, and that he may be entitled to an insanity defense.
But in early 2025, after a new evaluation, it was determined that he is now fit to stand trial. He faces a capital murder charge, a trial that could finally bring closure to those who loved Cash. Yet for his twin brother Carter, there is no closure, no justice that could ever fill the empty space left in their shared bed, no sentence that could ever bring back the brother who was stolen from him in the dead of night, never to be seen again.
It shows him coming in, took him while he was asleep. While he's asleep, carried him out of my house while he's asleep.